Hello and welcome to this Indonesia Channel special program, Rory, Indonesia's Pride. I'm Dalton Tanonaka in Jakarta. Well, many have tried, but no one has done it until now. It was a hot day in Gurgaon, India, when after 4 rounds of nearly flawless golf, Rory sank a final putt to win the Classic International. It was not only his first Asian Tour victory, it was the first ever by an Indonesian player.
The winning of Rory in India is so big, means a lot to the players of Indonesia. He opens up a door.
And it's a door that is now forever open to golfers in this country. And here in the 5-star Mandarin Oriental Jakarta in the Mandarin Suite with his championship trophy is the door opener. Rory, congratulations. It's tremendous. Has it all sunk into you what you did?
Not really. It's been a slow process for me because right after that win, it opened so many doors that it got me into Korea, which was a really big event, and Japan and Taiwan. So ever since India, it's just been 3 straight tournaments. So this is actually the second day I've been back home.
Yeah, and that's what winning does.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Going into that tournament, you finished tied for 22nd here in Jakarta at the Indonesia Open in Pondok Indah. Did you have any feeling, Rory, that the next week was going to be a special week?
I didn't really have any special feelings, but I felt like the stuff that I was working on at the Indonesian Open showed some great results, and I felt like I was very much at peace with myself going to India. I wasn't judging the way I was playing golf or anything, and I was talking to Rory in Indonesian Open.
And Rory is your mentor?
Yeah,
one
he's
of the
my
guys?
mentor, and we talked a lot about philosophical stuff. And he just kind of reintroduced to me the way I used to play when I was an amateur, when I was in junior golf, per se. And I just sort of got reminded that I had this inner belief in myself, in my golf game. And I just sort of latched onto that inner belief. And I think that's why I was able to latch onto my lead in India.
Obviously it worked because you got off to a great start, first round 64.
Yeah. That was the first time in a long time that I felt like I was in the zone. Everything came easy, and I was making putts, I was hitting great shots, and it just brought so much happiness to me to be able to play golf like that.
Well, the first round pretty much won the tournament for you. I mean, you had to maintain, but a 64, that kind of set the pace.
Yeah, I mean, we have a saying in professional golf, you never win with the first round
on Thursday,
but
right.
It's always a good sign to have a 64.
Were the conditions and the courses, that course in India, a lot different than other places or in Indonesia, or doesn't matter?
Actually, I think part of the reason why I played so well there, I've played there before 10 years ago, and I finished 9th, and it's a Jack Nicklaus design course. It's the courses that I'm used to growing up with in the US. But that week the rough was pretty high. That's why the scoring wasn't as low as before, but it was still gettable that week. But I like it because I prefer it that way.
After the opening 64, you go 68, 67, 68, led all the way, finishing 21 under par for a 2-stroke margin of victory. People always talk about this. How tough was that final round and that final hole?
It was pretty amazing. To be able to go wire to wire
that's tough.
In itself, that's pretty rare. To do that on my first win, that's really special. And it just shows not only to everyone else but to myself that I can still do this. I can still pull it off. And that final round, man, I was on my toes all day.
Were you nervous?
I don't think I had I don't know if I slept that day before.
That's not good,
but
you gotta be rested.
I had a good strategy going into that. After I shot 64, I was eating I had takeout chicken tandoori, and then I told my roommate I'm just gonna eat this for the rest of the week. And I just did that. I ate
the good luck omen, right? You're a yeah. Sport athletes have that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's kind of like a superstition. When I was an amateur, I've won big tournaments before, and I just tried to bring myself back to those memories. And it's weird, that's what me and Rory were talking about. Even though it was 10 years ago, your subconscious doesn't know time. Like, it would still remember, and that's kind of like what happened in India.
So you stayed in yourself, yeah? You
Yeah,
didn't get let it.
basically, yeah, I just sort of, it's always been there. Like, I just sort of unlocked it.
What did you take out of your victory coming 11 years after you turning pro?
That, you know, I probably should believe in myself. And, you know, that some people have, some people are early blossomers. And I think I'm a little bit of a late blossomer. But there's always a chance in golf. And as long as you keep going and keep going at it the right way.
You know, the next week in Korea, you missed the cut. If I may mention that, if you were floating after India, it's a reminder of how tough a game golf is.
It is. It's especially like coming back from India. I didn't have my Korean visa, so I gotta scramble to get back here, and then didn't really play a practice round there. And the course was so different than India. The weather was cold, and you know, I played a good second round too. I fought back in the second round, but you know, it was cool to come to that tournament, to be able to earn the respects of the other competitors in the field. It was a cool experience, you know, having everyone congratulate you.
Sure, they knew where you the week before what you did.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool experience. You know,
And of course, Tiger Woods misses cuts, so it's okay, Rory. Okay, this special program will continue shortly. We look at Rory's road to his historic win and who helped him get there.
A big congratulations to Rory. It is an achievement, an amazing achievement, and I do hope this will inspire the young golfers of Indonesia.
I think it's very significant. I think that, you know, probably it's going to pick up some momentum, you know, inspire some young kids. But I think really commercially, I think the big companies got to sponsor the young kids, like, you know, like the model they use in Thailand where Singha and Changbia go behind it. And then you're going to see a lot of good potential. 250 million people, definitely going to get some champions.
This is an Indonesia Channel special program, Rory He, Indonesia's Pride. Now, Rory, you are officially a role model for Indonesian golfers. Let's talk a bit about the road that got you to this point. Born in Balikpapan in East Kalimantan because your dad was working there. Did you first pick up a club there or after that?
My dad was always a big fan of golf, and he was a big fan of like Greg Norman and Nick Faldo. So, I mean, I knew nothing of the game, and one day he brought me out to hit balls at Balikpapan, like one of the ranges they have for the oil company down there, and I didn't like it. I hated it. You know, like I was like, why should I even do this? Because the ball, I couldn't get the ball in the air.
It's tough.
And so I quit. Like I stopped for a while.
How old were you?
I was like 5 at that point.
Okay.
So we went to Jakarta, and then I sort of started again.
You moved to Jakarta at the age of 5. Were there junior golf programs in Jakarta at that time, or were you mostly self-trained?
I think they had a couple tournaments. I played a tournament in Pondok Indah and I think Cikarang, and I finished like 3rd or something. But I think I was more into soccer at that point than golf.
You could be in Major League Soccer if you just stayed on that path. I mean, so is it something that Indonesia needs to do more to encourage youth, have more youth programs like they do in the United States?
Yeah, I think that, like, I moved to the U.S. when I was 10, and then my dad had this videotape of the '97 Masters win, when Tiger won, and I must have watched that like every day, and then I think that's why like I wanted to play again, because I kept watching the videotape.
You mean you took a break from playing? You said play again? Or?
Yeah. Well, like I just played soccer like for 2 years and just didn't touch the club.
So your dad saw something in your game. So you moved to the United States specifically to live and train there?
Yeah, they go to school there. My sisters go to school there as well.
So were you winning all the youth age group tournaments like Michelle Wee, who was kind of about the same generation as you?
Yeah, I won a lot of Southern California PGA, junior PGA programs, but it was funny, like one of the tournaments that I played in, the US Public Links Amateur, which was a match play, and Michelle Wee was playing. And
This is boys and girls.
well,
Separate. Yeah?
it's supposed to be a boys event, but obviously, like, she made headlines when she entered like the men's competition, right? And I was in the same bracket as Michelle, and we both just won like our 16th round. So I saw her name up there. I'm like, wow, I'm supposed to be playing Michelle next. But for some reason, like they sort of redraw it, and I didn't get to play her, but I saw her there. That was
And
pretty cool.
who had the better score there? Who finished?
We both lost in the quarterfinals. So
Okay. Well, but you both were tearing it up in the youth tournaments. Now, you mentioned Tiger Woods, one of your early golf idols?
yeah, he was definitely a big idol. Like Faldo. Faldo was more of my dad's idol, but I studied him a lot, and I like to study golf and golf swings and stuff like that.
Golf scholarship, University of Southern California, All-American as a sophomore. I heard that you were beating some other pretty good college golfers who turned out to be pretty good pros.
Yeah, I was going toe to toe.
Drop some names here, Rory.
Ricky Fowler, Kevin Chappell, Cal Stanley, Jamie Lovemark was my teammate. They're all playing on PGA Tour now. I think I saw Ricky maybe 4 years ago when he came down to play the Aussie PGA Championship.
And you
I
used
saw
to
him
beat
there.
these guys.
Well, I mean, we go toe to toe.
Yeah, yeah.
I beat them. Sometimes they beat me. Sometimes.
So obviously you'd like to see them again someday in a more formal setting like
Yeah.
the PGA Tour. I want to talk about the future later. Let's get back to growing up. Now, you turned pro at age 20. How was the early going? Was it exciting? Was it frustrating?
Like when I was 20, like I was so full of confidence. I'm like, I'm totally gonna make it. Like, but
I'm going to win everything I enter.
Yeah, I just had that. I was beaming with confidence. Like I didn't.
You got to have that.
Yeah. So that's part of the reason why I turned pro. And fortunately for me, like I had good sponsors waiting for me in Indonesia. So that sort of got me through the rough days. And I managed to finish second at the Indonesian Open a couple times. So that was a good experience for me. I think that's what I also drew from that experience to be able to win in India, I think.
How would you describe your game? Or how would others describe your game?
They would probably say I'm a good putter. I scramble very well, and
Are you long?
fairly long.
Because you don't need to be big these days to hit with the technology, right? I mean,
Yeah.
there are really small guys who.
Yeah, there's a lot of small guys out there, like Justin Thomas, who can get it out there. But I always feel like I have an advantage when it comes down to putting, because growing up in California, the junior golf programs, we always putt until like 10 at night, until the lights go out, basically.
Yeah.
And we always have putting games, and I think that's where I developed my mental strength. Like,
Well, I saw a lot of nice putts in India
Yeah.
from the highlights.
yeah.
On the other side, Rory, in these past 10, 11 years, did you ever feel like giving up? That maybe I'm not cut out for this? Because you had such a huge college career. The potential was there. We talked 10 years ago when you just came out of college and the future was just so big for you. Did you ever feel like, wow, maybe this isn't what I want to do?
Like, especially when the going gets tough, it's definitely easy for me to think about that. But, I've never gotten to a point where, I just want to quit. Like, I'm done with golf now. I've never really gotten to that point. I've always had this inner belief. Like, I think it comes from, like, my background. Like, my dad's worked so hard to get to where he's at, made it through college and stuff. My mom as well, and my sisters definitely worked really hard to get to where they are right now. And I just feel like there's no giving up. Like, there's no giving up in our family. I think that's why it never occurred to me that I should even do that.
and what would you do anyway?
Yeah, maybe I'll be like you.
Well, you want to commentate? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, hey, don't take my job. When this TIC special program continues, Rory's mentors and his advice on raising the level of golf in Indonesia.
But
for Rory, wow, it's fantastic because he went off to the United States and played at USC, came back, took some time to get his traction going, and Indonesia should be so proud of his victory.
Indonesia needs a hero, a national hero to follow as a role model. And his winning will open lots of doors for other Indonesians.
You're watching an Indonesia Channel special program, Rory He, Indonesia's Pride. Now, Rory, let's talk about your dad a little bit, your dad, Tommy. I mean, he was the one who put the clubs in your hand, but also going forward, he inspired you, pushed you, and kind of got you to where you are.
Yeah.
I mean, don't be, you know.
There's no other way to say it. He did push me, and glad that he did, because you know, when you're playing golf and the going gets tough, you need to find it within yourself to be able to push through those tough times. And I think that's what helped me, like, practice hard when I'm at home and just keep going.
So you obviously owe everything to him. I mean, you saw the early pictures of Tiger Woods and his dad when he was like 2 years old, putting the clubs in his hand. Your dad pretty much the same thing, and maybe it wasn't because he thought you're going to be a pro and winning an Asian Tour victory, but because it's a good sport and he liked it.
Yeah, it's a good bond. Like, it's a good bonding relationship to have, father-son in golf, and you spend like 5 hours or more, you know, practicing or playing golf, and you know, regardless of whether you want your son or your daughter to be a professional golf, it's always good to have them play golf with you.
Okay, you mentioned your mentor at this point in your life, Rory. Tell me a little bit about him.
Yeah, he's a very interesting guy.
He'll get a lot of opportunities now that he didn't have before, and you know, just take them as, you know, it's a pathway. So it's probably more for Rory now about just enjoying the moment and just learning from each step along the way and not getting too much ahead of yourself.
If you talk to him, like, he's got a totally different point of view about life.
Well, how did he specifically help you?
Well, you know, he was helping out the amateur golfers in Indonesia, and they were having quite a bit of success. And I sort of approached Rory and David, and you know, I got to know Rory a little bit, and a couple of conversations here and there, and something got stuck in my head, and I just had to like message him again.
And to this day, you still get advice from him?
Yeah, I still, like, I was just talking to him just before this interview. So.
Okay.
Every day,
about next week, okay.
Yeah.
What would you say, Rory, to parents? You know, we talked about your dad. What would you say to parents who have kids who seem to have an interest and talent in golf, as far as guiding their children, as perhaps you were guided, or the do's and don'ts of being a parent?
You know, definitely. I've known a lot of junior golfers here who have their parents follow them around, and you know, I think it's important for parents to know that you don't know everything about golf. So you gotta let your kid like decide what's good for them sometimes, you know, and leave them to the professionals. You know, it's always good to hire someone who knows better about this game than you do. So.
Did your dad ever work your bag?
Yeah, he caddied for me a few times. A lot of times, actually, early in my professional career.
And that caused problems in other relationships. You hear about they shouldn't have their dad on the bag. They should have a professional caddy. And there was a point probably you said, okay, I need some.
Yeah, it's definitely a bit tough to control the emotions.
It gets emotional, yeah.
The emotions that are going on, especially playing golf. You know, it gives you the wrong club or wrong read or something, and you know.
It's his fault.
Yeah.
Not your fault, right?
Well, no, the problem is I can't blame him.
Because if it's your dad.
Yeah.
If it's a caddy you don't know.
If it's the caddy, I can. Hey, it's your fault.
It's you, bud. Now, what would you say to young people, to the kids out there who would like to pursue perhaps taking golf a little more seriously, pursue a career like you did? What would you say to them?
Well, I would say that definitely, you know, start young and, you know, dream big. Always strive to reach for the stars. And, you know, even if you don't want to play professional golf, it's always good to, you know, because it's a good networking sport. Like, you get to meet a lot of people. And also, like, later on in life, let's say you're in the business world and you want to get to know like certain people, it's always good to have the ability to play golf.
Yeah, you spend, as you said, 4 to 5 hours. You can close a deal if you're doing business.
Yeah, for sure.
At age 50 or 60, it's also good exercise, even though you're in the cart a lot of the time. But you're out there in the most beautiful part of town, whatever town you're in, right? The golf course is usually pristine, and you're getting a little exercise. Okay, going forward, Rory, you're still a young man, 31, probably not in your prime yet. I mean, you're a late bloomer, as you said. What are your bigger dreams? What are your dreams from here? I mean, winning one tournament is a big deal, and that's why we're sitting here talking. Where do you go from here?
Winning definitely takes care of a lot of things, and for me, I find that emotionally, like I feel more stable now that I've gotten the win. I've gotten that over with, and I dream big, but I don't really. I like to stay humble, and I don't really want to put it out there like, oh, I want to win this, and that. It's not like I always want to. I think the key to having a sustainable success is to be humble and stay true to yourself.
And persevere. Because,
yeah, exactly,
10, 11 years since you turned pro. And many people would say that's a long time. But you're proof that you can still win.
Yeah. It's always about, being able to tap into your inner belief. And it's kind of like if you watch those superhero movies, they sort of have to believe in themselves first, and then they come out with those superheroes.
Rory the Avenger? Is that what you're saying?
It's kind of like that. It's funny, but it is kind of like that. You got to be able to believe in yourself.
How about PGA, European Tour?
Definitely. The only reason why I still play golf is because I want to play on the PGA Tour.
Hey, did you ever spend time there? Did you ever play tournaments?
I played the web.com when I was in school, like after first team I finished as like one of the first team All-Americans, and they always gave out an invite to play like one of the web.com tour events. And so that was cool, like to see, to be able to play like amongst the pros there.
Do you get an invitation now because you're an Asian Tour winner to play you get exemptions to play PGA?
Maybe if I win a couple more times.
I see.
But it depends who like on the PGA Tour. But I'm just gonna focus on tournaments that I'm gonna get into. There's gonna be a lot of tournaments, so.
Well, Rory, best wishes in the years to come, because from now, no matter what happens, your place in Indonesian golf history will always be there. It's a big deal, my friend. This has been an Indonesia Channel special program, Rory He, Indonesia's Pride. I'm Dalton Tanonaka in Jakarta. Thank you very much for watching.